Have you ever heard of a green roof? It's basically a garden on your roof, but you need to hire experts to install one. Well, here's an easier project that you can try on your own, a green deck. James Budahan is a Winnipeg home developer, and he shows us how.
Hi, my name is James Budahan. I take homes and make them green. Before this house, the front was really kind of needed some work. The roof was falling apart. We put up a new two-story deck with the design centered around being able to salvage stuff as much as possible. They can easily take it apart. Everything's bolted and screwed. You can use the wood for something else, or you can just use the wood again. Well, before this, the back of the house had a real shanty look to it that had this extension that was pretty much falling apart with a roof on it that was sagging in. Also typical to most urban areas, there was no green space in the back. So what we decided to do was build a green deck. Now, a green deck is very similar to a green roof in that it's just an elevated garden. The challenge with the back here was that there was no green space, or just basically a lot of concrete. So what we decided to do was, instead of bashing things up and building new, we decided to just build on top of what was already there. We're about 60% done, the green deck. We've got our wood framing in, which is one of the big jobs to be done. Instead of your typical decking, which would go on right now, we just put this plywood sheathing on top. And then we got to waterproof the thing, so what we used was EPDM rubber roofing membrane. This stuff is usually used on commercial roofs, and we're using it to waterproof the deck to keep everything nice and dry. On top of that, we got to insulate it, so what we're using is rigid insulation. That's stuff that's used typically in houses. You can find that anywhere. Then on top of that, we got to have a drainage medium, and we're using gravel. So on top of the insulation, we're going to add some gravel. That'll keep the water from collecting and keep it going straight to the drainage points. After that, we have to add soil, which is going to be our growing medium. And on top of that, we're going to be laying sod. That's our choice of vegetation for this green deck. You can really use any plant that you want. Just to keep things simple though, we chose to use sod. When it rains, the green deck is going to collect the rainwater. This deck is going to be sloped and it's going to be driven to these eaves troughs. The eaves troughs are going to drive the rainwater to this hole, which will eventually carry an underground cistern. The cistern is going to have a solar powered sump pump. What the sump pump does is it allows the owner to have access to that filtered rainwater whenever they choose. So they can use this water for watering the lawn or watering their garden. In the end, this deck will cost about $500 more than a typical wood deck. That's because of the added materials. There's the cistern, the sump pump, the membrane. But in the end, we're gonna have a beautiful green space with green sod, wood lattice, and it's gonna be a nice little urban oasis.
Want to build your green deck? You can get all the supplies at Rona. Go to rona.ca and find the store nearest you. And if you'd like to learn more about making your home green, get in touch with James Budahan of Urban Zen Developments.